Hello, my scholar friends. Miss Rainey here with a quick video to talk about and to show you how to multiply and divide fractions. Um, just a quick little moment to jump on to give you some additional help or resources if you need to come back to it and refer to it as we are going throughout these next couple of weeks of finishing our unit on ratio and proportion. So when it comes to multiplying fractions, the cool thing is multiplying is actually one of the easier ones to do. Multiplying fractions is probably one of the easier ones to do because it's pretty straightforward. All you have to do is literally multiply. It's not a lot of tricks and things to do prior to. You're able to just look at your problem and simply multiply. One thing I want to point out right here. So oftentimes when we're talking about fractions and multiplying them, we hear the term cross multiply. Here's what I need you to remember. Cross multiplying means that we are multiplying diagonally. Okay? When we are multiplying fractions, we do not cross multiply. What that would mean or what that looks like in context. If I was going to cross multiply with these two fractions, I would multiply 5 times 3 because those are diagonal and 4 times 1 because that's diagonal. When we are multiplying fractions, we don't cross multiply. We simply multiply straight across. Or we multiply numerator by the numerator and then we multiply the denominator by the denominator. Okay? So in this situation, what that looks like is simple. Numerator is 5, numerator is 1, so 5 times 1 gives us 5. And then denominator and denominator, 4 times 3 gives us 12. So our answer to multiplying these two fractions together is 5/12. Now, whenever we get an answer, what we want to do is look at our answer and determine if it can be simplified. Meaning, if there is a number that the numerator and the denominator have in common that they can be divided by. Remember, we talked about the greatest common factor. Um, in this case, it isn't. There isn't a number that 5 and 12 have in common that they can both be divided by, other than 1. 1 doesn't count because it's just going to give you 5/12, right? So in this case, we are done. 5/12 is our answer. Okay? All right, so here we are going to continue multiplying fractions, but this time we are going to do it using mixed numbers. A mixed number is simply a number that where you have a whole number and a fraction together. A whole number and a fraction together. The way that you multiply fractions when you have mixed numbers is we simply, one, I want to make sure we understand the different parts of the number, and then we will go from there. So this, we have the whole number, and then in the fraction, we have the numerator and the denominator. Same thing over here, we have the whole number, and then the fraction and the denominator. I'm not sure if you can see it all the way, but I have already put mathematical operations to show you what we're going to do. So in order for us to change our mixed numbers, we're going to change them into improper fractions. And the way that we do that is we simply multiply the denominator by the whole number. And then once we get that number, that answer, add the numerator to it. And just to go back a little bit, an improper fraction is simply a fraction where the numerator is larger than the denominator. Okay? Improper fraction, the numerator is larger than the denominator. Cool? All right, so let's work it out. So again, to change this mixed number into an improper fraction, we are simply going to multiply the denominator by the whole number. And then once we get that answer, we are going to add the numerator to the answer. And it looks like this. So 3 times 2 is 6. And then 6 plus 2 gives us 8. Denominator is 3 times the whole number 2 gives us 6. And then we add the numerator 2 to 6. So 6 plus 2 gives us 8. Once we get that answer, 8 becomes our numerator, and we keep the denominator. Okay? We're going to do the same thing for the second fraction. So denominator 10, whole number 4, numerator 1. So 10 times 4 is 40. 40 plus 1 is 41. 41 becomes our numerator. 10 stays our denominator. And now we are ready to multiply numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. See that? Good. So 8 times 41 gives us, times 1 is 8, and then 4 times 8 is 32, so 328. And then 3 times 10 is 30. Okay? So our answer right here is 328 over 30. Well, that, my friends, is an improper fraction. And that means that it can be simplified. So the way to simplify this improper fraction is simply by recognizing that a fraction, the mathematical operation of a fraction, is simply division. And so when you have an improper fraction, one way or the way to simplify it is by simply dividing the numerator by the denominator. So 328, remember this line means divide, so 328 divided by 30. 328 divided by 30. Now some of you, if you use a calculator, it's going to give, your answer is going to be a decimal. But for my scholars who will overcome their fear of using long division, when we use long division, our answer is a fraction. Or if it is required for you to put the answer in fraction format, this is how you work it out. We simply do, as stated, long division. I'm going to use another color again just to show that we're working on something. I don't even know if you can see the difference of colors on the screen. So what we have here is 328 divided by the number 30. And I don't know if you all remember, but we can simply ask ourselves, hey, what number times 30 gives us 328, or a number very close to it? And what that number is in this situation is the number 10. So we're going to 10. So 30 times 10 will give us 300. Okay? So we are going to subtract 300 from 328, and that will leave us with 28. Now, in traditional division, long division, the number 28 is what we would call our remainder. But when we are working with fractions, the number 28, or our remainder, becomes our numerator. So when we are simplifying improper fractions and turning them into mixed numbers, because that's what is happening right here, what happens is this. When we divide 328 by 30, this top number becomes our whole number. So 10 is our whole number. 28, or what we know as the remainder, well, that becomes our numerator. And we keep 30 as our denominator. Hope you all can see that. Okay? I hope that's better. We keep 30 as our denominator. So 10 is our whole number. What we would call traditionally our remainder becomes our numerator, and then 30 stays our denominator. Well, when I look at the numbers 28 and 30, they can actually be simplified some more. When we are simplifying mixed numbers, one thing to note is that the whole number stays. You don't have to do anything to the whole number. But we do have to simplify this fraction. So what we are asking ourselves is, hey, what is a number that 28 and 30 can both be divided by that they have in common? Or what is the same number? Or the greatest common factor? Okay? For those of you who can't figure it out right off the top of your head, remember we talked about how to break down and how to figure out what is the greatest common factor by finding the factors of both numbers. So I'm just going to do a quick recap for those of you all who may need that. So if we were to look for, use another color again, if we were to look for the factors of 28, remember we always start with 1 in the number. So the factors of 28 are 1 to 28. And then 2 times 14 gives us 28. 3 times nothing gives us 28, but 4 times 7 gives us 28. And I'm going to go on and cheat and let you know that that's it. There's no more factors for 28. All right? And then if we look at the number 30, the factors of 30 are 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, then you have 5 and 6. In other words, when I multiply these two numbers together, it gives me 28. Or when I multiply these two numbers together, it gives me 30, right? So what we're trying to figure out is what number do they both have in common besides 1, but the greatest number, the biggest number that they have in common. So when we look, the biggest number that they both have in common is the number 2. Okay? 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to now divide 28 and 30 by the number 2. So remember, we keep 10, keep the whole number 10, and then we say, hey, 28 divided by 2, and that gives us 14. And you can, if you don't know, you can refer back to your factors. And then 30 divided by 2 gives you 15. And that is it. That's all. So 10 and 14 over 15. So just as a recap, we started, it was a lot going on in that problem, huh? We started this problem by simply turning our mixed numbers into improper fractions. Once we had our improper fractions, we multiplied straight across. Once we multiplied straight across, we found our answer to be an improper fraction as well. And we couldn't leave our answer in improper fraction format, so we converted it or turned it into or simplified it to be a mixed number. And we did that by using division, by using long division, because we wanted our answer to be in fraction format. So when we did that, that gave us 10 and initially 28 over 30, but then we simplified the fraction 28 over 30, and it gave us 10, 14 over 15, or 14 15. Okay? Now, if you used a calculator and you got the decimal answer, then you got something to the effect of, I think, 10.93 maybe. I think that's what it was, or something like that, 10.9. And if you wanted to round that to 11, you could, but we're not rounding. We're going to keep it right there. Okay? All right, so another thing that you may run into is multiplying fractions, but one of the numbers is a whole number. OMG, Ms. Ramey, what do we do? One of the numbers is a whole number. Fret not, my friends. I came just for you. If it is a whole number, you make your whole number a fraction. And if you remember, the way we turn our whole numbers into fractions is super simple. You simply put it over 1. That's it. So the whole number 2 becomes 2 over 1. Okay, you all see that? and we're multiplying by 3 over 7. So 2 over 1 multiplying by 3 over 7. And then again, we simply go back to the basic multiplication rules of multiplying straight across or multiplying numerator by numerator, denominator by denominator. So in this case, numerators are 2 and 3, so 2 times 3 is 6. And then the denominators are 1 and 7, so 1 times 7 is 7. And your answer is 6 over 7. You don't have to simplify because there isn't a number other than 1 that both of these numbers can be divided by. So this would be it. Okay. So what we have gone over today is, or in this segment, is we have gone over multiplying fractions. We've done it when we just had two fractions. We did it when the fractions were mixed numbers. And then we did it when one of the numbers was a whole number and the other was a fraction. All right. I am going to give you a couple of examples. And I will know if I've watched this video if you have the answers. All right. So here we go. Your first one is 1/5 times 7 over 4. Okay. Your next one, your mixed number, will be 3 and 5/9 times 3 and 4/5. And your last practice problem will be 6 times 1 over 7. Right? So that is multiplying fractions. All right, so we have talked about multiplying fractions. In the beginning, I said, oh, we're going to do multiplying and dividing fractions. Well, check out the next video for dividing fractions, okay? All right, good luck to you on your practice problems, and I will see you soon.